This is Mark and Charity's Coffee Podcast.
Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast, episode number 151. After yesterday's enormous celebration. Thanks for that. Worldwide acclaim. 150 podcasts.
It's amazing.
It's Wednesday, May the 18th. Got a lot of reaction on our chat yesterday about gas prices because it's the hot button topic.
Oh, absolutely.
Going on around here. And this morning, I got one text that said, in a word, it's capitalism. And you know what? I can't argue that. You're allowed to make as much money as you want.
Yep.
I get it. But boy, can't you let somebody else in? Who can try and make a difference.
Well, and when is enough enough?
Yeah.
How far do you go with it?
Right. So it reminds me of the story. And I'm not going to let the facts get in the way of the story.
Of course not.
I can let somebody else fact check me on this because it's a true story, but I don't know all the details. But back in the 1800s, in the United States of America, they would light lamps at night on streets, right?
Yes.
It'd be kerosene lamps.
Yes.
And that's how you lit lights in your house.
Yes.
And the World Kerosene Company, I'm putting that in because I don't know the name,
Okay.
raised their prices. And of course, everybody was like, we can't afford this. And one guy said, that's enough. And that guy's name was Tom Edison. And because of that, he invented the light bulb because he wanted to come up with a different light source to put these a-holes out of business. So my point is somebody out there, and I know we have electric cars, and maybe that's the answer. Somebody out there, this will give them the impetus to say, now I got to put my idea together. Because we got to find a way to stop this. So this is an opportunity for somebody who hasn't come up with anything yet for energy, who's got that one great idea. Do it. Save the world.
Wow, talk about a silver lining.
The Thomas Edison.
It's a great story.
It happens.
But you're right. It does you're right. This is kind of the tipping point for someone. Someone they'll come out and say, you know what, enough's enough. This is what I've created. Now you don't need to do that.
Yep. You don't have, and then maybe we'll listen.
I hope so.
Yeah. But
something's got to happen. Something's got to give soon. And hopefully it's not going to be.
207. We're hearing a few are in the area down into the 190s again. So
some dipped yesterday because I think they heard our podcast and they thought, wait a minute.
This is getting frightening.
If I even lower this by 10 cents, people will come here.
And talk about it. And because we'll go.
We will. And that was the whole point. It would just take one to lower their prices.
Before a long weekend.
Before a long weekend.
Please.
They would make up whatever they felt they were going to lose within an hour. Because everybody would go there. And they wouldn't buy the gas from the more expensive
Speaking of a long weekend, let's jump into that thing you brought up this morning because that was really great.
What thing?
The 5 days out if you want to go to a provincial park that they implemented last year primarily because of sandbanks. And then it extended to other parks.
Lineups.
Yeah,
and
you could 5 days ahead book your spot.
It would be full by 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You could not get in.
Yeah, forget it. And they line up into Westlake and around the corner.
The county would be so congested.
And the people that don't get in, you'd think, okay, well, that's great. They're in the county. Well, they're unhappy.
Yeah.
And they weren't always, driving the speed limit. So it got to be a bit of a mess. Well, they've implemented it again this year. So if you think that on your holiday Monday, you would like to park yourself somewhere on sand, today's an important day.
You can get your day permit today, day use permit today for Monday. So it's 5 days out. So not to say you still can't try and get it for Saturday and Sunday, but if you were thinking about holiday Monday, now's the time to go. And they've added 16 more parks into this reservation system. So now I believe there's a total of 33.
Wow.
So it's not all of them, but I would say the more popular beachy ones to avoid the congestion, they've continued. And I'm thrilled because we did it last year with North Beach and it was awesome. We didn't have to get up at the crack of dawn to try and get down here for a spot. We didn't have to wait in line and it wasn't packed. Like it was just a day at the beach and it was wonderful.
Particularly if you do, as you say, have to drive. Like if you were going to go somewhere an hour away.
Exactly.
Like we have sandbanks here. Like maybe that's boring for you. Sandbanks, could you imagine? But you're going to go visit some friends and there's a beach nearby and you drove an hour and a half away and find out you couldn't get in.
Yeah. Like that just ruins your entire day, whether
Yeah.
you're in the county or not. You had expectations of going to the beach, and now you can't.
And
So
you got 8-year-olds. That's tough to explain to them why
kids
they're
are
not
way
going.
worse. I really think that that's one of the benefits that have come out of the pandemic is the reservations that we all had to make. Honestly, not just with the beach. Anywhere you had to go, you had to plan ahead. You had to book ahead. You had to, if you wanted to go to any type of museum or exhibit or show or anything, you had a specific time to be there. And that's when you would be allowed to go in, and then you'd have so much. I love that. I loved it, because then you're not waiting in line. You know when you can get in. You go, you do your thing, and you're gone.
There is something to be said for spontaneity, but on the other hand, once in a while, you're right.
It was great.
More times than not, I'm disappointed that I can't get to do what I want when it was crowded, but I just shrug and say, well, that's life. No, you're right. A little bit of thought went into it.
And
So-
as you said, then you're guaranteed, and you don't have kids impatiently waiting in line. You don't have kids, oh, why can't we go in? Why can't we do this? Why can't? Well, we can. This is when we can. So we're going to go at this time, and that's okay.
And by the way, there are a few campsites available at some of the provincial parks, which sounds like, that's crazy talk.
Yeah.
No, there aren't, because of that system. If you've ever tried to get campsites, you know how crazy that is. Whether it's weather related, whether people have been unable to get time off. We're not saying all 3 days might be available, but you check your parks where you like to go. You may get a night or two,
As you
which
said,
is a nice getaway.
people tend to overbook too. So they
Yeah.
may book at one park in case they can't get into another park. So then that first one gets canceled and they're now available. So yeah, definitely check. And there are sites available at Sandbanks this weekend. Probably not the prime spots, but
maybe not all 3 days.
no.
But a little
there
getaway.
are some spots available this weekend. You just got to double check. And when you do that, be sure to check for fire bans too. Because even with the rain we've had earlier this week, some areas do have fire bans in place, in
Friends of ours
effect.
are up in Algonquin. I don't know if they do, but they're dealing with a forest fire
Oh,
in Algonquin.
I didn't
up-
know one was actually
up
going.
north. It might be under control now, but I read about that on the weekend. So they may have a bit of a fire ban. I could look that up, but things could change by Friday, of course.
Exactly, yep.
And, when you think, well, it's a lot of trouble to go for one. When our kids were young, we would go for one night. Just try it. They're 4.
Yep.
Maybe they won't like it. Oh, my gosh, they loved it.
Oh, kids
That's
love
why we bought a
camping.
trip. Yeah.
It's usually mom and dad who are like, oh,
If you
gosh.
think, if you think, well, maybe they'll be too scared. No, they love being. They love the noises. They love the animals.
It's
they
an
love the
adventure.
bugs.
It's an experience. It's
Try it.
something different.
It's great.
Yep.
So try those and check it out and get your passes. So we helped people out with that this morning. Then we talked about the marriage counselor. So here's the thing: this marriage counselor put out a TikTok video called or differentiating between active responsibility and passive responsibility. So active responsibility in her mind, and let me just preface, you say, because she's a marriage counselor, she's looking at this as people who have arrived on her door to say, if we can't solve this in the next 50 minutes, we're getting a divorce.
And it seems to be a common. This is the most common.
The most common thing. So this isn't like the first time there's been a bump in the road and they've gone to a counselor. This is, we're at the end of our rope. If you can't help us, the next stop is the lawyer's office.
Okay.
So this is the way she, sort of phrased everything. Active responsibility is when you walk through the house, and I'm going to use your example because it's great. You walk past a pile of towels at the bottom of the stairs, and you pick them up and you put them in the hamper beside the washer, or you start the laundry, or you saw it, you did it because it needed to be done. Active responsibility. Passive responsibility is walking past doing nothing and then being told, hey, could you go pick that up? Oh, okay. So the passive thing is like, yeah, you did it, but why do I always have to ask you to do something? Why do you never think to do things on your own? And according to this counselor, that is the number one complaint that women at the end of their rope have about husbands.
Absolutely.
Really? That's it, eh? That's it? I mean, I get that. I can't argue with that if that's true.
I believe it. I would hate to... If that's the only reason why you're going to this counselor or divorcing, you shouldn't be married.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, I got it.
If it's the tipping point, I believe that because I will be on. It's not. Of course, we're not thinking about divorce or in that
of course
mindset at all.
Right.
But it is an argument starter in our home, and I wonder because also I will say I've read and I've heard other therapists, other speakers say that a woman tends to Well, I'm not even going to say that. Within a partnership, it's not unheard of for one to become more, not the boss,
right? No,
but you take on different roles, right?
Sure,
within that relationship. So there could be one that is kind of not, I don't even want to say taskmaster, but the one that's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We need to do this. This needs to be done. This needs to be done.
Okay,
and you fall into that role of, okay, so now they've said this needs to be done, or the focus has been turned to this. Let's do that. And you take on different roles within your household. So one may be more the pointer out, or the other one the doer kind of thing.
I totally get it.
I understand that.
Okay.
But yes, that kind of thing drives me crazy in my house, because quite often I'm that one that will bring forward perhaps, we should maybe look at getting the driveway done, or this, the door's not closing properly. We should maybe look at that. I always say we. I never put it directly on my husband, even though he's the handier one. And he'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll have a look at that. No problem. He may not notice those things.
Right.
But as you use the example of the towel, that just happened. Our laundry's in the basement. So if something gets soiled or needs to be washed, quite often, if we're in a rush, we'll just throw it down the stairs.
Exactly.
With the expectation that the next person who goes downstairs puts it in the laundry room. All three other members of our household walked by these towels. They had to literally step over the towels to get to where they were going and what they were going to do.
Right.
And it's not until Mom or I came down the stairs and saw them and picked them up and take them to the laundry room. And yeah, it's that feeling of why do I have to do this? The three of you just, nobody, didn't even bat an eye. And in fact, gave me the answer, I didn't see them. You stepped over them.
Right. Yeah.
How can you then turn around and tell me? So I get the frustration of that. And it is a
bear poke.
A button issue, a hot button issue in our household.
But I get it if when you say if that's the only one. But if you're struggling financially,
yes,
and you don't like your in-laws,
yes,
and then this is going on, you could see how this could
100%
be that one. The only other side of that I will say is, so for example, so now I'm going to give you an example.
Go.
In our household, because my wife is tremendously organized, and you think I'm tremendously organized here at the station.
Yes, you are. You're very organized.
I am not at home. I am not at home. And I call me old-fashioned, or maybe there are other words to describe me. I don't know. But our house is my wife's house. She loves her house. So if I'm guilty of anything in the passive responsibility, yes, I will ask what she wants done, but it's not because I don't want to do anything. I want to do whatever she wants done for the house. If I see towels, of course, I'm going to pick them up. I mow the lawn. I don't ask. I know when the lawn needs mowing. She does. What this woman's referring to is you literally do nothing until you're told, then you're put out about it. But I always want to, because I'll wake up on a Saturday or I'll say on Friday, what do you want done this weekend? What are we going to do? What are we going to do this weekend? And it's never, she said, I think I'd like to work on that this weekend. Okay, then that's what we'll do. I don't wait to take orders, but it's her house that she loves, and I want her to enjoy it. And I know we're going to do a bunch of stuff anyway. So I might be guilty of not saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this weekend. I don't think I've ever done that.
No.
Yeah, when you let me know what weekend we're going to do the gardening, because I'm happy to do the gardening.
Yep.
You pick the weekend. Not because I don't want to, but when do you want to do it? And that's when we'll do it. And then, you know what? I also think that's part of the empty nester.
Okay.
I think, expectations change a bit when it's just the two of you. And since it really doesn't matter to me when things get done, I mean, short of house is on fire, the water needs to come now.
Yes.
Whenever you're comfortable, whenever you think something, let me know. I'm happy to do it. I'm here. And then when I get home, things change. But
has it always been like that then, since you mentioned the empty nest?
I think so, but it's funny you say that, because that always hasn't been as smooth. So I was probably guilty of the passive responsibility before, certainly with the kids and everything. That, maybe it's just sort of like, I don't know. I don't know that part, but I know that now. And I would consider Kath the far better organized one around the house.
Yeah.
Of what to do, and I'm happy to help.
It's taking again those roles that you have, and Wayne will say, even though he likes to tease me about it, I would say I'm probably the more observant one. So I may notice things that, and during the pandemic, it drove him crazy because I was home all the time. So the list of things and observations became a little longer than normal.
Right.
So there was that feeling of whenever I would bring things up and say, oh, you know what we should do, or this needs to be done, or that needs to be done. It's kind of like, does it really need to be done? Or can it wait? But I can see why. I can understand it because it is certainly a point there has been times in our house where I have resented the fact that I'm picking up the towels. Why am I picking up the towels when clearly everyone else can see them? So why am I doing it?
Now, I don't know what the counselor's advice is, but if she's saying this is the last straw before the lawyer's office, I'm not sure what you can say. Yeah,
if it's the last straw, you're kind of, I would think the couple's probably already
and since it's
close to making up their final mind.
Since that's the biggest complaint that a wife would have on a husband, and the husband's aware of that and still wants to go to counseling, he's probably just doing it as an excuse to say, I need somebody to tell me my marriage is over because I don't want to be the one to say it, or I don't want to have to listen to this, or I don't think there's a problem.
Yep.
So I'm going to go and let this counselor say that she's a taskmaster,
Yeah.
It's all kinds of bad in that case.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting to know that from at least a conversation starter, if you're listening to this podcast, it's salvageable because marriages are great. Families are wonderful.
Well, and I have to say too, once it's pointed out or once it comes up, it then is talked about and there is effort made to correct it.
Yeah.
Usually. Yeah. Usually. Unless I pick up the towels and take them in myself.
Also, this morning we're getting ready for tomorrow's Throwback Thursday, the beginning of the power ballad era. Total Eclipse of the Heart from Bonnie Tyler. And then I went with Ario Speaker.
Yeah, you really threw one at me this morning.
Why?
Because
normally I sell mine better.
It sounds like you're selling mine. I don't know what kind of ploy or game you were trying to throw at me or play, but...
You're so suspicious.
I wonder why. Because first you threw in the air supply.
Yeah.
And then, you totally, I don't want to say totally, total eclipse of the heart, but you really jumped on the bandwagon this morning with Bonnie Tyler.
I love REO Speedwagon. And then when I put the two of them together on the air audibly, it was like, boy, I am out of my league. What was I thinking?
See, even now, I still don't buy this.
But the voting is clearly going Bonnie Tyler's way at this point.
Yeah, but it's early.
Yeah, okay. Burger Revolution sponsors it. Jeff and his wife put that together like 10 years ago. They got Burger Revolution going when they heard about the franchise, and they made it work as a family organization. That is so good. They got a great video up on Facebook.
Well, as you know, you and I worked with Jeff directly last fall, raising money, and what a great guy.
Yeah, super guy.
Yeah, so he and his wife sharing their story, their journey over the last 10 years, and it's quite a story. It's a pretty awesome video.
Get your votes in on that. Winning song's coming up after 8, Bonnie Tyler. Probably. Unless there's like this huge upset. You know, come back in the second half.
Then this morning, I got totally taken by a friend on social media.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
And it leads us into tomorrow because she put up a story. She posted a story about herself trying her dog's shock collar. It wasn't a shock collar. It was like a citronella-ish collar. Yeah. But it piqued her curiosity to know what it actually did. So she tried it. And you saw me. I got laughing so hard. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this.
Because of course it goes bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It goes horribly.
Chaos ensues. Yeah, right. And I'm laughing so hard. And I'm messaging her going, oh my God, this is hilarious. Will you come on the air and share this story and the whole bit? I never made it to the end where the disclaimer was this was a copied story from someone else.
Yeah, it wasn't her.
It wasn't her. But, and then she got upset because I thought she would do it, but it makes it even funnier. But
you're down a friend.
But it does raise a bigger question or get you thinking about those instances where your curiosity may have gotten the better of you. What did you try, taste, do?
Yeah.
With a certain product and how terribly bad it went.
Yeah. Like I've been tempted. Here I am on the podcast. Ready? I've been tempted at time to try women's spray like Nair, like to get hair
Yes,
off.
the hair removal.
Yeah, because I got hairy legs and feet.
Do you want bare legs?
I don't know if I want bare legs, but I thought maybe on my feet. Like, should I have all this hair on my feet?
Instead.
But I've been afraid to try it because, like, what
you've
if I
never tried
rash
it?
up or something?
Oh, we should
And
try
then
it on the air.
How do you explain that? Oh, do we have to?
We should. We should totally do it
don't
on
know.
the air.
Okay,
Because what could go wrong?
fine. I don't know. It's just
What
my
could
feet,
be bad about
right?
it? Exactly.
I can put socks on.
Your feet are
Then how
on
do you,
fire
then,
for
you know,
a week
like
and
why?
can't wear
Yeah,
shoes.
why am I at the emergency? Because I've had this allergic reaction to women's nair on my feet. That's what happened to me. That would happen to me. So that's the kind of story we're looking at. If I'm willing to share that, and it didn't happen to me, you have to fess up on our Facebook page
Yes, we've
and
put it
share
up there.
that. And locally, if you want, you can text it in too. Link a text to our line at 613-962-0955. And my gosh, we'll let you share it on the air because those are the priceless stories. They're the best.
It could happen to anyone. And
Sure
that's
it
why it's so funny. And again, I'm picturing this person like with the collar.
Shock
and
collar. Can't get it off.
Can't
Going
get it off.
Zapping.
It keeps spraying her.
Neighbors are watching. It's like so good. So we'll fully share the story, although I think you got the gist.
Yep.
And any more that show up on Facebook, please share those. Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Here we are now, 151 episodes in. Throwback Thursday tomorrow. Get your votes in. All coming up tomorrow with Mark and Charity Mornings here on 95.5 Hits FM. Enjoy your day.